E360 TV proudly presents Messages of Inspirational Stories, broadcasting and live streaming to millions of devices around the world, including Roku, and live streaming to Facebook Live. Also on Amazon Fire TV and to Twitch. Also Android TV and Periscope. Broadcasting to Apple TV and YouTube Live. Proudly brought to you by our host, Donna, producer and host, Michaela Vidal, host and administrator, and Jim Grant, producer and host. Proudly brought to you by the 6minutewebinar.com.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to the Messages of Inspirational Stories. Well, Jim, we are on our second to last day of our little mini series on old world sayings and their meanings.
Oh yeah, Donna, this has been a lot of fun. And the reason Donna and I wanted to do these old world sayings, we've been wanting to do them for some time. And it was perfect timing because around in the media today, you see a lot of negative stuff going on. You see all these things that we don't have any control over, or we can't do anything. All it can do is upset us, drag us down, and it actually shortchanges, or what's a good word for it, when it comes to our energy, it just robs us of our energy, I guess would be a good way of putting that in it, Donna.
It does basically a block, right, of our energy, because the negative gets in there and it doesn't let the good stuff flow through. That's
right. Because a negative attitude is very, very destructive. As soon as you think you can't do something, as old Henry Ford said, if you think you can, if you think you can't, you're right.
Correct.
But as soon as you get aggravated at something that you may see on the media, you have just, polluted all of your energy as far as creativity, as far as energy flowing to you with ideas, because that's how we have gone and grown in this show here. It hasn't been our intelligence. It's been following the energy that comes to us. That's the secret in life in a nutshell. And so the reason we're doing these entertaining shows is to have some fun.
Right.
Because we're all entitled to have a little fun, to laugh, because laughter is very good medicine for us, number one. Number two, we all could use a little bit of a lighter spirit right now, and look at the bright side, because in the end we win. Remember that.
Absolutely.
In the end we win.
I guess the moral of the story, Jim, is don't get your feathers ruffled.
That's a good way of putting it. I like that. She said that just as I was sipping some coffee, because she's trying to throw me a curveball. Don't let your feathers get ruffled. I mean,
Oh, I don't have the origin of where that came from, but obviously, when a bird, you're going after a bird, a chicken, a goose, whatever, and they don't want you to, they puff up their feathers and, make themselves big and flop around. So, don't get your feathers ruffled.
Yeah, it's like a rooster and flips up his neck feathers, make him look more fierce. And that is actually a defensive mode with all of the Mother Nature. It really is, to defend themselves. And I tell you, when it comes to, talking about someone and someone comes in the room, I'm talking about something good now. It's not nothing, something negative, but you see somebody come in the room, you might say, well, speak of the devil.
Oh, isn't that the truth?
And of course, we all know that's we mean that in a good way, because if someone came in that we did not like them, we wouldn't say anything to them. But speak of the devil. We were talking about you or something of that nature. But it is an acknowledgement of a person who has just arrived. And maybe they've been discussed or not. It doesn't matter, because people use that. And it's kind of like, hey, everyone, sorry I'm late. And you might say, well, speak of the devil,
Right.
Well,
Right.
where that came from, it has a long meaning, and it goes back to biblical times where, when you least expect it, it's Proverbs, I think it is. The person just mentioned has appeared as in, I want to speak of the devil. Okay, the expression, I'm looking for the verbiage of the passage here, but it comes from the book of Proverbs. And it simply means that when you least expect it, the devil's going to show up in your life. That's it in a paraphrased nutshell.
Right.
And speak of the devil. And that's where that term actually originated from and got its roots from. And it's just, and it's funny about some of these old time sayings because these things went viral as we know it today before they knew what viral was back then. It
Right.
was all.
And I'm sorry, but they've also taken on a different meaning.
Mm-hmm. And they went viral because of parables and family traditions and sayings. Because back then, I mean, our ancestors and our grandparents and even our parents didn't have internet or anything. Neither did we hear of the World Wide Web. What was that until the late 90s? Basically, I did not have an email address until about 98. And I was reluctant to get a website because everybody was telling me, hey, you need a website for your business. You need a website for your business. And I thought, well, every time I go see a customer, they're not sitting there on the web.
Right.
They're sitting there in the business computer with the programs that they're dealing with, and they're not out there surfing the net looking for something.
Right.
And then the bubble came in 2000. Why? Remember Y2K? Oh my goodness gracious.
Well, I remember my first email was AOL. You've got mail. You've got mail.
Oh yeah, that's funny. Oh
Yep.
goodness, I
And
don't
that
know
was
if I
back
should.
in the days of the Rolodex, right? We all flipped through
Oh
our
yeah.
Rolodex to find our phone numbers and such.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Speaking of Rolodexes, I was going through here. You're not going to believe what I'm going to show you.
Oh, you know what? I have one just like that, Jim.
Yeah.
We
And
are
this
cousins.
thing, yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, I tell you, it's it's one of those deals where when you get ready, I know spring cleaning is going to come up, and we're going to have to do something about attitudes and spring cleaning or something like that, and or at least cover it for a day or whatever. But anyway, when it comes to spring cleaning or straightening up or cleaning out, the real challenge in the mind is what is trash and what is treasures. you know?
I'm going through that right now. Good
Oh,
Lord, there's so much to go through.
mm,
And one
I
of the
mean to
problems
tell
for
you.
me is I would like to give, a bunch of the stuff to my kids, but they live in another state.
Oh yeah, and
Oh,
I know you live there in the city, in the city, so you're not way out in the country. Because some people, like we were, we weren't that far out in the country. We were far enough. There was two old country sayings, and these are just from I heard from the Appalachian folks all the way down. One of them is that my address is 40 Plum Street,
yeah,
40 miles from nowhere and plumb back in the woods.
right.
And this is an old saying, and I don't know where this generated from because it's one of these country sayings where there is no origin there, but we know what it means. And it's a humorous thing. It says they live so far out in the country, they have to get sunshine piped in.
Right. Right.
Oh
Well, how
my
about
goodness.
this one when you're too big for your britches?
Oh,
Now,
yeah.
I don't have the origins where that came from in front of me, but I can pretty much surmise that, uh, especially back in the day. I mean, we still do it today. We do hand me
Mhm.
downs from child to child when they're,
Yep.
can be handed down. So, older brother or sister gets
Mhm.
handed down a pair of breeches and they're a little bit too big. And they tie a
Mhm.
rope or belt or whatever they've got
Oh, yeah.
around the waist. And then that's how the saying came about. You got too big for your britches,
Mhm.
but now we use it in a whole different context, right?
Yeah.
We use it as, well, you're too big for your britches, meaning,
Yeah.
you don't know as much as you think you know, or you're not as important as you think you are.
Yeah. In other words, you're demonstrating your ego is demonstrating your ignorance.
One is going before the other one.
There you go. There you go. Oh, goodness. It just amazes me how, when we talk about some of these old world sayings and how they came back, and how that takes us back to a time of our youth, and some of the things, like how many times, and I don't know where this came from. It has nothing to do with evolution, but people say, well, I'll be a monkey's uncle.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't have anything to do with evolution. It really doesn't. A lot of people think
Right.
it does, but it doesn't. I'll be a monkey's uncle.
Well,
And
how
I don't
about?
know. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I don't know where that came from. It's an old country expression. Again, a lot of these
Oh
country
yeah.
expressions, you take, for example, when my dad was born, there is no official record in Cleveland County, North Carolina, of my dad ever being born,
Wow.
because he was born at home. And guess where his birth was recorded? In the family Bible.
Oh wow.
And they took that as official when he wanted to get his Social Security card and his birth certificate.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, I
Interesting.
mean, when we say country sayings that go back and there is no origin or any meaning we can dig up, we're telling you true. So you can understand if my dad was like that, born in a house and just a, a boy born, because they
Right.
didn't name him then. They named the parents on this date, da 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 da, and hey, that's him. Okay, that's your birthday.
Right. Right.
Interesting, isn't it, Donna?
It really is. It really is. Because, Jim, you grew up in, Carolina, and I grew up
Mhm.
in Arizona. My family's from Montana, but,
Right.
I'm a second generation on my father's side and third generation immigrant, American
Mhm.
immigrant on my mother's side. But in between is ranchers and farmers and what have you.
Mm.
So I grew up with all of those things.
Oh yeah,
I can hear it. I mean, this is what's so fun for me is when we're
yeah.
talking about these sayings, I can literally see, it
Mhm.
takes me back, literally see and hear my grandparents, my uncles, my aunts saying those things. How about this
Yeah.
one? You better straighten up before I jerk a knot in your tail.
I'd almost forgotten that one there.
Right?
Yeah.
And obviously we don't have tails, so that's going to be interesting.
Oh yeah. That's kind of like, if you don't stop crying, I'm gonna give you something to cry about.
Yeah. Right?
Oh, good.
Right?
But really, a lot of these sayings, ladies and gentlemen, they come from an individual's personality and the way they express themselves. And
Right.
someone will hear it and they like it and they pass it on, and it just goes viral from there through word of mouth, obviously. But one of the sayings I heard that went pretty viral in the military. Now this is back in the '60s, so it was word of mouth. I heard a command sergeant major talking this, and I've heard this several times at different locations in my 31 years of travel in the military. But this one sergeant major, he was listening to a guy complaining or saying something, and the sergeant major just put his hands on his hips. He says, "Help me out here. Are you bragging or complaining?" And it's funny because they're totally opposites, and the guy just stood there like a deer caught in a headlamp, didn't know what to say.
Right.
Because then his follow-up comment was that either way, you got to understand something. I don't care.
Uh-huh.
But
Uh-huh.
that's the way a lot of old sayings get going, because someone will say something just out of their personality, and someone likes it, and they'll pick it up and they'll pass it on. It's a hand-me-down. It's what it is.
It is. And if they don't like it, they'll just look at you and say, I'm going to slap you silly.
Or slap you and see if you're awake.
Right? Or how about this one? I'm going to slap you so hard, you're going to end up next week.
Oh, goodness, yes. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I tell you, it's amazing. Oh, I'm not going to
So
say this
funny.
because this would be horrible for me to say on the TV show out there in TV land, but I wouldn't say they're ugly, but they look like you got beat with the ugly stick.
Oh, my my mom and
I
my
just
grandmother would always say, we'd be in the store looking at something, and they'd say, "Well, that's just uglier than 7 miles of bad road and 2 cases of homemade soap."
oh yeah, I mean to tell you, because
Hmm.
there's the country expressions were they delivered a parable, but they also did it in a humorous way because people had funny sayings back there. That was the way they communicated,
Right.
and that's what they did, And you know, one of my favorite sayings. We've all heard this. You may have heard this as a kid growing up in New York City. If your mother says, "Close the door," were you born in a barn?
Barn. Hmm. Heard it my whole life. Pass that on to my children.
Oh yeah, it's a family tradition when you pass on these old world sayings. It really is.
They'll thank me for it later.
Oh yeah,
How about
yeah.
pitching a fit?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Yep,
There's
pitching a
see,
fit.
there's pitching a fit and having a conniption.
Yep.
Yeah, they're different. I don't know how, but they are different. No, she wasn't having a conniption. She was pitching a fit.
Right.
Okay, either way, you want to stay away from her. I can tell you that.
One of my favorites and still used a lot is "This ain't my first rodeo, folks."
Oh yeah, my son has said that a lot, and my goodness gracious, I've heard him
Yeah.
say that a lot. I'll be talking to him about something. This is years ago now because he's much older, but and I tell him, James, this this is not my first rodeo, okay?
Right.
And I'd look at him, I'd say, well, I didn't say it. I didn't say it was, but oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh. Um, how about this one? You're as cute as a button.
Oh yeah. Or cute
Mm-hmm.
as a bug. Both of those go hand in hand, don't they?
Uh-huh.
It really does.
Oh,
Is that a compliment for a guy to say to a girl, "You're cute as a button," or "You're cute as a bug"?
well,
I
I
guess it
don't
would
know.
mean.
I
I
mean,
guess it would.
I've
I
had that
guess.
said to me when I was little, but not as an
Yeah.
adult,
Yeah. I guess it would mean how it comes from the heart.
right?
Yeah. You're as cute as a button. You know what I mean? If they say cute as a bow or something, or pretty as a bow or something, that'd be a little different. But I don't know. I
Right.
just wanted to throw that out there. And some of these old world sayings, my good, have you ever heard? Oh, this is horrible. A pine overcoat, PINE overcoat, like an overcoat you wear. Do you know what that is?
I have never heard that one. That one
It's a
surprises
coffin.
me.
Hey, they
Oh,
got him down there, and he's a pine. They gave him he's ready for a pine overcoat.
okay. Okay.
That goes back to old England. And I'm telling you, when I saw that, I'm thinking, do I really want to disclose that? And yeah, I do. A pine over a pine overcoat because it means a coffin. I tell you.
How about the social butterfly,
Oh, yeah.
right? Because butterflies flit from here to there to here to
Yep.
there.
Mhm,
And so a social butterfly means somebody's always going to a party or what have you.
mhm. Yeah. I remember hearing that expression on Hogan's Heroes with Major Hofstetler, the Gestapo guy. And he came in, and of course, in the show there, they bug Klink's office, and they're listening to Commandant Klink says, "Oh, how you doing there, Major Hofstadter? Is this a social call or?" And he says, "I never make social calls," and of course, Hogan heard that, and then he wants to see Hogan, so he called him in, and he said, "Oh, Major Hofstetler, so good to see you. Is this a social call?" And Hofstadter said, "What is this with you people here at Stalag 13? Do I look like a social butterfly?"
Oh, I love it. I love
Oh
it.
yeah, that's
How
when
about,
I hear that. That's what brings back. Go ahead.
right? How about this one, Jim? This is going to bring you back a day or two.
Okay.
Don't take any wooden nickels.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yep, those were given as a little token back in the day, and it was said that you don't take any wooden nickels for payment, so that somebody
Hmm.
didn't pull a fast one on you and not give you proper currency.
Hmm.
And my folks also used to say this one, well, that ain't worth a plug nickel.
That's right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard that one a lot too. A lot of these sayings here, I mean, they're interesting. We forget about them.
We
And,
do.
some of you folks out there, let me put our email address up here, inspiration at E360TV. What are some of the old world sayings that you've heard that we haven't mentioned here? Because
Right.
we'd love to share that with everybody. You can put it in the comment section or whatever, and that's fine too. But most importantly, we just want to take a trip down memory lane and have a little fun with these old world sayings because my goodness gracious, some of them are very good. And have you ever heard that the pen is mightier than the sword?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Now, the original origin of that, it goes back a long, long ways. But the fact of it is, in fact, it goes back to biblical days and Proverbs that wisdom is mightier than strength.
Right.
And a classic example of that is that you let some young guy that's 6'2", 280 pounds or whatever, 250, pick a fight with a little 5 foot nothing, 110-pound girl that's a 10th degree black belt in karate and see who will win that fight. Because wisdom is always mightier than strength. And that's why it's so important for us to have options in life and open up our minds to the energy that comes. Because when we try to make decisions, we're going to goof things up because we want to. We want to start with the end result in mind. We want to put everything in that box, and everything we're going to do has got to fit inside that box.
Right.
And some pieces are like trying to put a square peg in a round hole. It just won't go.
Exactly. And you don't want to be, damned if you do and damned if you don't.
I tell you, she's full of them today, guys. She's full of them today. But you're so correct on that.
But I heard that growing up all the time. Mom and
Mm-hmm.
dad used to say that all the time. Well, damned if you do and you're damned if you don't.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning if you do it, you're damned, and if you don't do it, you're damned. It's one of those, it's a cop 22, a catch 22.
Oh, this is something that's applicable today. And that is beggars can't be choosy
Choosers.
or
Absolutely.
choosers. Yeah, either way. It's an old saying meaning you can't ask, things of people and complain about what they give you, but you have to
Correct.
accept whatever they're willing to give you. So you
Right.
can't choose. You have to take what you're given. And there's so many people today that's given things.
Mm-hmm.
So many people looking for a handout. And if they don't think they've got enough, they're going to complain about that. And Donna, they don't realize that they have just robbed themselves of the purest energy on planet Earth that could fulfill all their wildest dreams. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. Gratitude
Mm-hmm.
and love.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Gratitude and love.
absolutely. And one of our good friends covers that very well, and you do too, Donna. And that is Mr. Bill Heinrich. He's a personal friend of mine, Donna's. He has his website is truelifepurposenow.com. He will give you a free 30-minute complimentary consultation to
Bill is
help
amazing.
he will help you realize what's blocking your energy. This is his book, The 7 Levels of Truth. It's on Amazon. We highly recommend it. In fact, we did a couple of weeks out of this book here
Yes, we
on the
did.
show. And that's
Yes,
how
we
good the
did.
information was. And we did that because we wanted people to get a taste and a flavor of the valuable information in this book. And that's Mr. Bill's picture right there. Super good friend of ours, nice guy. But really, he will give you a free complimentary consultation of where your energy is, what's blocking your energy.
Mm-hmm.
And just
Mm-hmm.
email him at truelifepurposenow.com.
Absolutely.
And also with Donna, do her journey. of all the things that she went through with her aneurysm, 3 brain surgeries, and all that. And she had to really learn how to talk again and pick up the pieces of her life. And in the process, she realized, hey, I'm not the only person on planet Earth that's going through this. I can be a blessing to others. And that should be a wake up call to some of you folks out there. Some of the things you're going through, you can use how you survive that to be a blessing to others. And Donna's email address is highenergyrightnow@gmail.com, and she'll be more than happy to give you a 30-minute complimentary consultation. And because Donna, you went through a lot with your 3 surgeries for your own 3 brain surgeries, huh?
I did. 3 brain surgeries in 14 months, being diagnosed with MS in the very beginning of that brain surgery journey. So it was a lot to deal with. It was a lot to deal with. And then not being able to get a whole sentence out. For anybody who knows me, Lord, if I can't get a whole sentence out, there's some serious issues. And I just couldn't remember the words. I could see them, but I couldn't get it from my brain to my tongue and make it come out. I would have to look at my children or whoever and say, what is that? And it just, that was really humbling, to be very honest with you. It was very humbling. And it was also a little depressing to be in that state. So yes, my journey took me through some deep valleys and some immense peaks. And that's when I came across high energy performance coaching to help other people get out of their own way and find what's blocking them.
Sure. Just like recently, I didn't realize, but I had a calling come to me due to my heart attack that I had on Halloween. And what the bottom line was, I'm going to give you the very condensed version of this. My blood pressure was always good. My bad cholesterol was only 76. And when I had my heart attack in the hospital, it was only at 96. So on the medical standard, I should be flying, when I should be, getting by in flying colors, the old saying goes. But I realized that I found out that about 75% of the people who wind up in the ER with a heart attack are just like me. They've never had any type of blood pressure problems. There's no cholesterol problems. There's no history of heart disease anywhere in their medical labs or whatever. And so I am taking on that journey to educate others so that they will not wind up in the same condition I did, because I had to have open heart surgery with 4 bypasses. And everything's went great except for one thing. They talked about all this fresh blood flow and all that going through my body. And I still hadn't gotten any smarter. And I thought fresh blood flow to my brain because I would know if any improvement up there, I would know it, right?
Well, Jim, that might be because you're nuttier than a fruitcake.
There you go.
There you go. I waiting for that.
Yeah, she was waiting for me to, give her an opening, and here it comes.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Great segue. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Oh, you're quite welcome.
Obviously, there's a lot of people put fruit and then nuts in a fruitcake. And so if you're nuttier than a fruitcake, well, you're a nut and a fruit.
Oh, yeah. That is so true. It really is. And, this one here. God helps those who help themselves. Oh,
love that.
Goodness gracious. Yes. That's one my mother used to say all the time.
Yep.
And the old saying, it come from, the meaning that, or the parable that kids would be taught back many years ago. I'm talking, not decades, but centuries ago, right, that things don't fall from the sky. And that comes from the old history of the Jewish people were in book of Exodus, how God let manna fall from heaven to feed them in the wilderness and all. So things will not fall from the sky. You have to do your part and move. When things get rolling, you'll see that God helps. God helps those who help themselves. And that is so true, because What is God? God is love. Think about all the love and mercy he's had in your life and in my life to keep from slapping me. I'm
Slapping you
sorry,
into next week.
Oh, yeah, or yanking my chain or taking me out. But
Right.
whenever you learn how to love yourself first, and if you're struggling with that, just say, okay, I'm going to forgive myself of all the things in my life that's bothering me, that's gnawing at me, that's in the back of my mind that just, I wish I wish it wasn't there.
Right.
Learn how to forgive yourself. If you have to stand in front of a mirror and say, I love myself, I'm going to forgive myself. If you say that out loud 20 times, 3 times a day, so what? You know what will happen? You're going to train your subconscious mind and your brain to obey your verbiage
Absolutely.
because you need some rest. You need some comfort in your life.
I need some
And
self TLC.
oh yeah, preach it, Donna. Preach it, girl.
It is so important. We do not, as a society, take enough time to recharge our batteries,
Hmm.
right? We don't take enough solitude time, whatever that looks like for you. We don't
Yeah.
take enough time. Most of us, most families, everybody works, mother, father,
Hmm.
you've got your kids in school. We're all busier than, as the old saying goes, than a, wet hen,
Hmm.
right? Busier than a wet hen, or this one, a one-armed paper hanger.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Or a
But it's
cat on a
true,
hot tin roof.
right? We don't take enough time. So give yourself that tender, loving care because
Hmm.
it has to come from you first.
Yeah. A lot of people focus on when they're going to take care of themselves, they're going to focus on the physical thing, getting in shape, losing weight, doing this, doing that. That's fine. But what you really need to focus on is how can you take care of the real you, the inner you on the inside?
Right,
Because that's where life is. That's where it exists. That's where it will always exist because this body we're in eventually is going to wind up in the ground or scattered in ashes somewhere. Okay.
well,
But the real us is going to live somewhere. So you need to work on the real you because you owe it to yourself to love yourself and enjoy the abundance of the universe because that is a promise from the Creator. It's not given to you by any government or anybody like that, legislation, regulation, or strangulation.
right,
They
no
cannot,
taxation.
right. They cannot even deny you that. I don't care where you live. You have that right from the Creator to love yourself and enjoy the abundance of life. That's your gift. They can't take it from you. They really
No, they
can't.
can't. They
They
can't.
may think they can, but they can't. So owe it to yourself and just be a blessing to yourself. And to do that, you got to be a blessing to others. And just remember that God will help you when you're helping yourself and others. Okay?
Absolutely. So, Jim, how
Mhm.
many times have you heard this in your life? You can't make a silk purse out of a sow's ear.
I've never heard that before in my life.
Liar,
Better get
liar, pants on
there.
fire.
There you go. There was a song there in 1965, "Liar, Liar, Pants on Fire." I forget the group, but anyway, this that you're exactly right. It's just amazing because it's say that again about I can't make a silk purse out of is it a sow's ear or a pig's ear? What is it? Let's see here. I may have I don't know if Donna's got a internet thing there or whatever, but anyway, we're going to go ahead and drive on here because in the sayings, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. Normally, that's implied in a negative sense. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. And you hate to think of it
Right,
like that because the old saying means if you want to get something fixed, you have to get it noticed, complain about it, and
right,
be loud. And one a classic example is that if you're dealing with a government entity, either local, state, federal, whatever, you got to keep complaining and keep complaining and keep complaining. And another way of doing it, getting it done, is to grease the palms, right?
Right. Right.
But most people don't have that prerogative, and most people don't have that low life, attitude, I'll say.
Well, how about the early bird gets the worm?
All right.
So the one who gets up the first, gets up first as in the bird world, gets the early worms, right? So they get their belly full first. So, if the early bird gets a worm, that means you're there first. So it's yours for the taking, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. In other words, if you snooze, you lose, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Because if you snooze, you lose. That really implies what? Laziness.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people want to get ahead. It's kind of like people want to build a business, but they want everything free. Well, that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen at all. You got to invest in yourself, invest in others, because you've heard that one of the it's an old saying, but it's really so untrue. A self-made millionaire. Right. There is no such thing. It takes a multitude of people to make a person a millionaire. And I see Donna there going through her list there. And
I am. But it's true, because we don't get anywhere in this world alone.
That's right.
Right. So, if you're a self-made millionaire, that means essentially that no one handed you the money, generationally speaking.
Right.
However, there are people along your path in that journey who believed in you. So that got you to the point of a millionaire.
Mm-hmm. And self-made millionaires, from what I've seen, for the most part, they've also helped others in the process. So they were helped too.
Right.
And with that, that's all she wrote.
Oh, how about this one? Never underestimate the power of a woman.
Oh, I learned that the hard way.
I bet you did, Jim. I bet you did.
I'm telling the truth, Went to night school on that one, as a matter of fact.
A couple times.
Oh, more
there
than
was
once,
one
that's
part
for
of
sure.
the class he had to repeat.
That's right, yeah. Otherwise, if you don't get that straight between your ears, you're going to do some hard time in the hacienda.
Right. Oh, how about, did we cover this one yet? Put that in your pipe and smoke it?
No, ma'am, we have not.
Okay. I grew up on that one. Put that in
I
your
heard
pipe
that
and
one.
smoke it.
Yeah.
And that, at least in my family, that usually meant like if playing a game called marbles with my great aunt and uncle. Mm-hmm. And when one of us would win, or Annie Fern would win, she'd say, "Well, put that in your pipe and smoke it."
Oh yeah.
Oh, love those.
Another old saying is actually a proverb: if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Fix it.
Because a lot of times, some guys, and maybe some girls too, but I've mainly known guys that they like to fiddle with stuff.
Right.
And I heard one guy, say one time about, if he could take his brain out, he'd take it out and play with it or try to figure out how it works. But if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It's an old saying, and it means that if things are working, why do you need to change them? Sometimes we complicate things and we do some changes just for the sake of it, which is nonsense. If it's working, don't change it. And right. Donna, today, my goodness gracious, there's a lot that we can learn from that, because a lot of people, like in projects we're working on, we follow the energy and we have options.
Right. We give ourselves options.
Yes.
So we don't just have them, but we give them to ourselves.
Yeah. Because we're going to try this. Oh, okay. And we run into a block wall. Guess what? That means that option was not a good option for what we're trying to do. Right. So let it go. Mm-hmm. Where if you got a decision and that's one of your pieces in that decision box in your mind, you're going to make yourself miserable.
Absolutely.
And don't try to force it to fit,
Right.
because that's another thing people try to do. If it won't fit, I'm going to force it. You
I'm
know?
gonna pound it till it does fit.
Yeah, that's another negative expression. And all negative expressions generate negative energy, and that robs you of because when you generate negative energy, you have destroyed all creativity in your mind. Thoughts cannot come to you, answers cannot come to you because you got too much garbage up there.
Well, and it doesn't really mean diddly squat at the end anyway.
I know it. I know it. We gotta, you gotta keep an eye on Donna there. She's had too much,
Too much
too much
coffee,
good
maybe.
coffee. There you
Yeah.
go.
Oh, and and that just means that doesn't mean diddly squat. Well,
Yeah.
obviously, that just means I don't know who came up with it or when. That just means that doesn't mean anything.
Hmm.
That just
Yeah.
doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. You ever heard that's the real McCoy?
Oh yeah, or fighting like the Hatfields and the McCoys.
Oh yeah, we know the meaning on that one there.
Hmm.
And that was speaking of the Hatfield McCoys. I'm not a subject matter expert on that because it's a sad time in history when two families war
Oh,
like that.
they had
And
a horrible feud.
yes, they did, and it was all over ego and pride and family name and all that, and it's just a classic example of how your emotions can get emotionally out of control and you justify everything from pride and all this is negative and everything that if the only positive thing that came out of the Hatfield McCoys fight was that it ended.
Hmm.
That was basically it. And
Well,
it go
tempers
ahead.
flew off the handle.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. And when it comes to the real McCoy, that was I know there was a boxer named McCoy, and he would actually fake being injured in the ring because if he acted like he was hurt or something like that, the other boxer would drop his guard and want to come in and hit him, and that's when he would counter punch. And so they were going to
The
say, okay,
sucker
who's going
punch.
to, yeah, yeah, sucker punch that too. And the announcers would say, okay, with this when he was in the ring, okay, who's going to show up? Will it be the real McCoy or the fake one?
Nice,
So
nice.
that's part of where that generated from, and I think that's the actual generation of that, as far as the real McCoy. This is the real McCoy.
Oh my goodness. Oh my
Yeah,
goodness. Well, I
yeah.
like this one. Ballpark figure.
Hmm.
Okay. So ballpark figure just means, it's a rough guesstimate.
Hmm.
You're not 100% sure. It's just a
Yeah.
rough guesstimate of what it could
Hmm.
be.
Yeah. Yeah. Because the ballpark is. Yeah, I like that. It's very true because when we're talking about things, we got to be flexible. We really do. And Donna, we have said this so many times. This describes us. Great minds think alike. Great minds think alike. That is so true. And the saying means that smart people think smart. And many times they have the same ideas and feel connected by their smartness. But the fact of it is, it's not that they're smart. It's just that when they're together, because everyone's got, some degree of, intelligence, some's got more than others. But whenever you get together in like minded people for a cause, the energy from those minds, it's just like putting more batteries in a flashlight, making a longer sleeve, putting more batteries in there, and you turn the light on the flashlight, it gets much brighter. That's the principle there. And we lost Donna there. She's had some connection problems, but we're just going to go ahead and drive on. But it's very important for us to remember that in life, we have to be able to share information, listen for information, because that's the only way we can go and grow. And when you do that, everybody in the process in that mastermind will also be blessed. And there's another old saying here. Oh, we covered that one there. Don't judge a book by its cover. And no man is an island. Oh, goodness gracious. A lot of people enslave themselves and put themselves on an island. And no man is an island. That old saying means you can't do everything by yourself. Connect with people, listen to their advice, and ask for help when you need it. That is so important, not only in in business, but in the world, because we're all born into a world of survival, and we need to elevate ourselves to the world of you know thriving and being able to enjoy the abundance of life. And one of the things that I really like about working with Bill Heinrich, and we've done a lot of things together, shows and stuff, because he was well, me and him, we co-host a radio show. We're getting ready to kick off a new series. But anyway, Bill has been very, very big on helping me realize to let go of all the things that harm me or bother me or frustrate me, and to tune into things that are really a blessing in life. And that's the way that you go from survival, because we're born in the physical world, we're born in a survival mode. And as long as we stay in that mode, we can never go and grow. We'll just go through the motions of existing, basically. And I don't know if Donna's been able to come back yet. Let me check my phone here. I'm sure she, let's see here. Oh, I was on the wrong thing here. Okay, here. Excuse me here 1 second, folks. Let's see here. Oops. Okay. Okay. Here's Donna. She says, my internet went down. Don't know why, but got completely kicked out. That's quite all right, Donna. We understand, because that's one of the things about technical, things like technologies. When things go bad, just, deal with it and don't let it bother you, because that means that, hey, it's okay. It's not that big of a deal. Life goes on, right? And I was going to talk about no person is an island. Oh my goodness gracious. You can't do everything by yourself. Connect with yourself, listen to the advice of others, and ask for help. That is one of the key things. Ask for help. A lot of people do not do. Because if you ask for help from other people, guess what? They'll help you. And many times when you go to a trusted source, obviously, or someone that you respect their opinion, many times their answer will be brighter than anything that you can come up with. And that's really a blessing in disguise there. And too many cooks in the kitchen, or too many cooks spoil the broth. And that old saying today, it just means that too many people and too many actions will affect the outcome of one activity, because you got forces pulling in different directions. I may want to go in this direction. Donna may wants to go in that direction. Well, guess what? We won't get any headway there. We both got to be in sync. We got to be in step, and we got to be focused on the direction we're going in. Because, eventually the strongest one will always get their way. And that may not be a good way. It may be the wrong way to go. And honesty is the best policy. My goodness gracious. It's so important for us to have a reputation of being honest and credible. Because when you leave this earth, your name is all that you've got. That's it. And when it comes to honesty as the best policy, that old saying means lies, as in LIES, have short legs. People will always find out. Telling the truth is always the best for your business and for your conscience and for your soul. Besides that, if you always tell the truth, guess what? You never have to remember anything. That's why we see some politicians whose memory has really been, well, they've used it up, trying to remember all the lies. And I'll be doggone. Donna's back.
I don't know what happened. All of a sudden, it just kicked me out, said I had no internet.
Well, I sang a song while you're gone.
Oh, I bet that was fun.
Oh, yeah. We were talking about, I was just mentioning about when you first came back here. about honesty is the best policy. And I'll just repeat it, that lies, Lies, it always has short legs, and people always find out. Telling the truth is always the best for your business and for your conscience. And I was just sharing with the folks, that's why some people we see on television, their minds are shot because they have burned up their minds trying to remember all the lies, and there's nothing left to remember.
Right. Well, and there's people like that in our everyday life too,
Oh yeah. Oh
right?
yeah. Oh yeah.
And we've talked about this before. When you tell the truth, you don't have anything that you have to remember.
That's
And
right.
for me, for Jim, that's living in our integrity,
Yes. Yes.
right?
Yes, it
That's
is.
living in our integrity. And I'm a huge, I've said it before, I'll say it till the day I die. I'm a huge uh, proponent of living in my integrity. And when people can't live within that integrity, then I don't have them in my life.
Hmm. Because they will drag you down. Their negative energy will.
Right down a
That's
rabbit hole.
Yeah. I mean, that's one thing about what you owe yourself. You got to make sure that you kind of push away. What's a good word? Help me out here, Donna. When you got negative people in your life, you want to try to get
Distance
them.
yourself.
Yes,
Distance
and
yourself.
exactly, and because that negative energy is just going to corrode you.
Right. It
It's
will.
like if it's just like laying a piece of metal down on something that's rusty. What's going to happen to that piece of metal?
Right.
It's going to get rusty too because it
Or
pollutes it.
right. You can't have a solid foundation
Hmm.
built on, a web of lies, built on somebody who doesn't have that same kind of integrity that you do. It
Hmm.
just won't work because you're
Hmm.
you're constantly butting. If you will.
Oh yeah. And I'm just going to start out with one more. Oh my goodness gracious, you're going to like this here. We say this a lot, that a picture is worth 1,000 words.
Yep.
And you know what a video is worth? 1,000 pictures.
Right.
It really is. And you know what a good TV show is worth? Like me and Donna's got?
What?
I don't know. It's got to be worth something.
1,000 something.
Yeah, at least, at least. I'm just throwing that out there. I'm just having some fun with her since she got back, because I know how it feels when you lose your internet and you get kicked out of a live show and you go, oh goodness, what happened? Did I not put enough quarters in this thing? It gets frustrating.
Exactly.
So
I'm
I'm
like,
having a
what
little
in the
fun with
world?
her. Yeah, yeah.
Oh my
Jim, what
goodness.
did you do?
But that's just it, guys. We don't sweat the small stuff,
Yeah, man.
right? Because it happens and
Oh
there's
yeah.
nothing we can do. It
Mhm.
happens. We just roll with the punches and life goes on. And that's the easiest way to live life.
You bet. That's a great parable too, Donna, because there's going to be things happen in your life. It's just going to, upset you. But if it's not under your, nothing you can do about it.
In your control.
Yeah. Care, custody, and control, the big three C's. Let it go.
Yep.
Just let it go, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Wow. Well, I
And
can't believe our hour's just about up, Jim.
I know it. I know it. I mean, we're going to be back tomorrow. We're going to wrap this up on Friday. And but next week, you entrepreneurs, listen up. We're coming out with the Roaring Twenties,
Hmm.
and what the principles of what was applicable back in the Roaring Twenties, 1920s. It's applicable today in 2022. It
It
really
is.
is. It really
It
is because
is.
principles never change. Methods and techniques change, but principles never change.
Well, and the interesting thing is history does repeat itself.
Oh, doesn't it though?
Yep.
It sure
Just like,
does.
if we look at just take for example the style of clothes. You will
Mm,
see if you look back, you will see styles of clothes come in, go out, come in, go out. They might
mm,
be changed a little bit, they tweak
mm,
it here or there, but the essential style tends to be the same.
mm. Yeah, you're exactly right. Just like me, I'm still waiting for sideburns to come back in, and they will eventually if I live old enough.
Well,
You know what? You really want to know when long hair went away and short hair became in? It was during 1984, during President Reagan's administration, when Oliver North was on TV. And that is the power of TV. And that is why you got, because TV gives a very open, honest look at everybody, of
Right.
you. And so I was looking at the time here, make sure we don't run out of time. We're getting close. But anyway, long story short, that is when the long hairstyles in men changed. And I wear my hair the same way I did back in the 70s because that's who I am. I'm comfortable with that.
Right.
And someone asked me why I got sideburns. I tell them, well, I'm conserving razor blades.
Nice one, Jim. Nice
Well, I
one.
mean, they ask you a personal question, give them a personal thing for them to
Right.
ponder on. Like,
Right. Oh my goodness. Give them something to ponder about.
oh, yeah, there you go.
Give them something to ponder about.
Well, folks, we'll be back tomorrow, won't we, Donna?
Yes, we will. We will be wrapping up this week, and we have really been blessed to be here with you, and we are each and every day, and thankful for every one of you who tune in and watch us on whatever platform, wherever you are in the world. We appreciate you and thank you from the bottom of our hearts.
Absolutely. And Donna and I want to thank you because of you, we've been invited to have our own Roku app and Amazon Fire app. And that's really an honor for us. It really is. And we're very thankful. So thank you for bringing that honor to us. Ladies and gentlemen, we hope you have a wonderful evening or day, whenever you watch the show here. But most importantly, love yourself first, forgive yourself, and love others. And Donna and I, we both hope and pray that you and your loved ones are healthy and happy and blessed on all areas of your life. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye, folks.